Hello everybody, this is Tales Unfold. My name is Blossom and today we talk about what a house healer is and how they work. So let's dive in. So what is a house healer? And the question to that is actually quite simple. A house healer is somebody who clears your home from stuck energies, so gets moving again, or someone who just clears out the heavy energies. And a house healer can brighten your space again. And in this video we have a look at all the different aspects that I personally investigate as a house healer. But first, in general again, as a house healer, as I work with the subtle energies, it is possible that I work remotely, which is very good for me because I'm quite sensitive to energies and sometimes it's hard to be in a space if it's really heavy. And so I can work from my own home, tune into your space or into your own personal energy field, and then I can work remotely just by tuning in, which is wonderful and magical really. But it's also much easier to work that way because a house healer, the investigation, the dowsing part of it, because there are over 50 sections that I'm going to have a look at when I do a house healing job. And I wouldn't get that done in just, an hour or so, and I would spend a few days in your home if I would have to come to your place. So that makes it, of course, also easier. So let's have a look at what a house healer, or in my case, what I would look at, or what I am looking at when you are getting a full report from me. So the first is geopathic stress, the earth's energy in general. So I'm gonna have a look at that. What does that include? So earth energy lines, water veins, ley lines, earth energy spirals, or also called geospirals, trapped water or ancient water, blind springs, that kind of stuff. Those are all aspects we're gonna put into the earth energy category, or geopathic stress. And that is probably one of the things that, well, depending on really where people are coming from, but geopathic stress is the most well known. So when you talk about water veins, a lot of people know what you're actually talking about, other than when you talk about energetic imprints, for example. But that really depends on your own past. But for the wider public, I want to say water veins are a thing, that people are aware of, and that can cause issues. So that is one of the categories we're going to have a look at. So there are a few more, but in general, yes, so this can disrupt your personal sense of well-being. Also, all those earth energy lines and spirals and so on, and water especially, they can carry human emotions with them, and with that, well, that affects us, right? So the next category would be electromagnetic stress, and we all know that. I mean, we live in the world we live in, so everything that comes from Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, our microwaves, all of that. Sometimes it's just certain light bulbs, and I'm gonna have a look at that as well on the plan. Mark it on the plan where it is and try to figure out what it is. So often there's a lot coming in because we have Wi-Fi on all the time, we have Bluetooth on all the time, and so it's often more of that than just simple one light. It often comes all together. Then I have a category called imprints, energetic imprints. Now this includes things like emotional hotspots. So where you had an outburst and then it remains in the space, right? That can also be historical place memories. And with that comes also interdimensional space memories. Now it gets freaky, doesn't it? Other things that have an energetic imprint could be harmful magic, for example, where at least when it's, the detrimental, we are looking for the detrimental aspects. I should have said that before. A house healer looks for all the detrimental aspects. The good stuff we don't have to worry about because that works for you, but we are looking at the detrimental things. So if there has been any kind of harmful magic practice in the past, or even curses on the land, or even on you, but often it's more on the land that we can find. So that is also an energetic imprint, or how I categorize it for myself and in your report. Now, the next category that I have a look at is your personal energy field. And that goes from any kind of detrimental attachments in your aura or even in your chakras, to your chakras, to rebalancing the chakras. Then, are you under psychic attack? Not as dramatic as it sounds. Do you have any cords or chains attached to you? What about past life issues, karmic issues? Do you have any beings in your aura stuck in your aura? I have to take it a bit slower now. Or there could be a spirit trapped in your aura, right? Or they attach themselves to you. Then we also have a look at if you have a fractured soul, maybe, if there are any tears in your aura. So there are more things, but I just try to give you a brief overview. I will come to that in a moment. Then there's also about a category about man-made stress. This includes fracking, toxic lines, harmful frequencies, for example. Then man-made stress lines, disturbance lines. I don't put them into the earth energy lines or into the earth energy category because this is purely man-made. Then we also have a look at the fabric of the building and power objects. Sometimes objects, whatever you have, right, even this bottle could have an attachment of some form. Something else I'm gonna have a look at is cosmic energies. So this can be either some influence from cosmic influences like planetary rays that somehow has an influence on you, or ET influences. For some people this is a bit too out there, and for others it's completely reasonable. So, always when you get a report like that, take what makes sense to you, right? And then I will also have a look at the nature spirits. So the way I learned it in my house healing course is a little bit different than I do it, but it does include the Fae. That can be elemental beings, but in the terms of Fae, I will have a wider look at my personal idea about the fairies, right, is a bit wider than just elementals. And I include tree spirits is for me a Fae spirit just as much as well, And we also have a look at animal spirits. So if there is maybe an earthbound animal soul roaming about. And I will specifically also look for fairy paths. So if there's a fairy, either your home or the garden, if there's any influence of a fairy path. And then also, in general, I will have a look at the beings. So those are the Fae beings. Then I will also have a look at thought forms and life forms that may roam about your house. Another one is trapped spirits, ghosts, earthbound souls. That is, I find them very, very often in homes. Then we have a look at the guardians, at your guardians, the guardians of the home, the spirit of the place, if there is anything detrimental coming off them. And then we also look at lower animal life forms. There we go. Those are the categories that that in a full house healing report I'm going to look at. So there you have everything covered. And for each of those categories, over the next months and weeks, we will have a deeper look at what you actually get. We will have a look at just the earth energies, at just the Fae beings, at just the man-made stresses, and so on. We will have a more detailed look at that. But for the moment, this is just a bit of an overview for you, what you would get if you consider getting a house healing. So the way I work is through dowsing. So for each of those different sections, I will have a bunch of questions. So let's say about, is there an earth energy line? If I get a yes, where in the house is it? How detrimental is it? Does it carry any human emotions? How much of it, of the detrimental effect, is from human emotions? How much is it from earth energy? And if anything is not entirely clear, for example, what I like to do when I find like a historical place memory or something like that, I really love to use the tarot or oracle cards to expand a little bit further. So I work mostly with dowsing, but I also add the tarot cards to if I need any kind of clarification. And like I said already, this process of investigating can take quite a few sessions, right? And that can take up to a week or two, or it really depends on how much you find. Some houses are quite, well, you find quite a bit, and others are a bit more quieter, and it's not that much that you find, so it really depends on that. And then comes the healing part, and that on how long that takes also depends on entirely what you found. And sometimes we have to heal in layers. So you start with the first layer and then you have to wait a little bit. You have to wait a couple of days or even up to a week or even longer until you can complete the full healing. So it can, by the moment you ask for a house healing to actually getting the report, is not necessarily done in like one day, right? So it can take a few weeks until the job is done. And I mentioned it already, so what I like to do is at the end of a healing, when I have healed every aspect individually, I will still send Reiki to the land in general, and I also will send Reiki to the people, unless you really don't want that, which I will always ask beforehand. So if you really don't want that, that's okay, but to the land I love to send a little bit of Reiki, just to keep everything a bit calmer, I want to say. And then at the very end of everything, I love to speak a blessing over the house. I will protect the house with a bubble, and there will be healing rays sent and light through your entire house. And yeah, that is basically the process I'm going through in order to bring you as much healing as I possibly can, you know, being the channel, of course, right? We're gonna talk about that in detail. Again, I am not doing that, you know, I'm just a channel to do the work. I'm just pointing as a house healer. We're just the ones who point out, hey, there's a problem, can you please help? That's basically what I do. So talking about everything what a house healer does and all the categories we talked about now, when do you might ask yourself, when do I need a house healer? How do you know if I need that? And there are a few symptoms that you might experience that could indicate that a house healing would benefit you. One of them would be insomnia. You could sleep over something that is not necessarily to your benefit, right? And that will take away your energy and you feel drained a lot. So that could be something. You might also feel like you are being watched. That's often our spirits or any other beings who might be around, right? That could be something. If things start disappearing in your home, like we talked in the video about trapped fairies, so that could be a reason, right? There might be some cheeky little fairies around and take your things. Sometimes that can also point to spirit activity. Otherwise, if your house feels dark and heavy and there's that heavy energy all around and you constantly feel like, oh, that, and as soon as you're out of the house, you don't have that feeling anymore, right? That could be good for house healing. That could be an indication for needing a house healer. Another sign could be if you experience frequent headaches and you always, you know, that's an issue for you. So maybe we could look into that then. If you feel nauseated or dizzy in your home, if there are certain spots where you don't feel well, that could be a sign. If you have mental exhaustion, if you feel constantly mentally drained, or if you experience a lot of anxiety, all those could be indications for needing a house healer or to have at least a look, somebody who investigates. However, very importantly now, if you experience any of that, please check in with your medical practitioner first. That is very important. There might be other reasons. If you constantly have headaches, it's not necessarily ghost, right? Please check in first with your medical practitioner. We always need to look at those things first, all right? That is very, very important. It can also be that you just moved into a new home, for example, and it feels off. It doesn't feel like you. Sometimes it just takes a little bit time until the energies have adjusted, but sometimes it needs a little bit of help to get these things going, right? And that could also be a very good time to contact a house healer. Or also when you have experienced a lot of emotional turmoil, you went through trauma or anything like that, that is then also a very good time to contact a house healer to get all those energies out. As we talked about before, emotional hotspots, they can let us spiral a lot. But please know, one house healing will not make everything disappear. It is a part of the process. It is one step in your healing journey, but an important one at that. So after house healing is done, I can still offer support with tarot and oracle readings. You can find everything, just head over to talesandfold.com. You can find all my services, so tarot and oracle readings, to provide further guidance, to take it a step further. I also offer, after house healing, you might want to try Reiki more. Maybe you wanted to make it more of a regular thing to get a Reiki session in, just to stay clear, right? To stay clear, because we can clear it, but if everything starts again from the beginning and we're just not taking care of ourselves, it will not stay that way. And things like emotional hotspots, why I keep bringing them up, they will keep coming. We create them all the time. Another thing that I like to offer is guided journeys. So an individual guided journey for you, especially in the combination with trauma. I do have packages on my homepage. So one is the Faery package, where we have a look at all those beings together with a reading, an oracle reading, especially to connect with the fairies, and also a guided meditation or a guided journey into the realm of the Fae. The next package I offer is a trauma package, which includes a personal clearing, a clearing of your personal energy field, and then also a tarot reading, and then your individual guided journey. This is not a pre-recorded guided journey. I will create it as we work together. There we go. That's your answer to what is a house healer and how do they work. I hope this was helpful and that it brought you a bit of an understanding of what is done here. And as I said, we will have a look at all the different categories in more details over the coming months. Well, yeah, months. I hope we get that done in months. And then again, as always, if you have any questions or suggestions for future videos or anything else, or you just want to say hi, please leave a comment. I would really appreciate it. Also, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. This really helps my channel to stay alive, and so my videos can be found more. Thank you so much for watching. I hope your world is kind. Much love and bye.